All right, let's unpack this. We're taking a deep dive into Ayesha Jalal's seminal work, The Struggle for Pakistan.
Yeah.
This isn't just a historical account. It's really a profound exploration of a nation grappling with its very identity right from the moment of its birth.
It is. And what's particularly striking, I think, about Jalal's analysis is how deeply her own experiences shaped her questions. You know, witnessing the civil war in East Pakistan in 71 while she was in New York, and then later General Zia-ul-Haq's martial law in 77.
Right.
She really digs into the official narratives, asks tough questions about how Islam has been, well, leveraged by the state. So this deep dive, it's really about understanding that complex interplay. History, identity, power, all shaping Pakistan.
Exactly. Our mission today is to cut through some of the, let's say, familiar stories, distill the most important insights from this really rich source material, and give you a clearer, maybe more nuanced picture of Pakistan's journey. It's extraordinary, really, its enduring struggles and where it stands today. You'll discover how a country born of quite a unique vision found itself repeatedly challenged. From within, from without. Often in surprising ways.
The foundations of a fractured dream.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting right from the start. Pakistan was carved out as a, quote, self-styled Muslim homeland in 1947, taken from the northwestern and northeastern bits of the subcontinent. Yet think about this. Today, it actually has fewer Muslims than India, and almost as many as its former eastern wing, Bangladesh. I mean, how does a nation founded on a singular religious identity face such a stark demographic paradox right from the beginning?
It's a huge paradox, isn't it? And Jalal argues quite masterfully, I think, that Pakistan's very foundation, built solely on that religious identity, contained the seeds of its future problems. 1971 wasn't just a secession. It was the tragic, undeniable proof that maybe a nation can't sustain itself on that singular premise alone.
And the challenges weren't just ideological, were they? The geography itself that presented an immediate, immense hurdle.
Oh, absolutely. Imagine trying to run a country with two wings separated by 1,000 miles of, frankly, hostile territory. Plus, you had 5 distinct provinces, 10 princely states, asserting unified sovereignty. That was a massive undertaking from day one.
You know, it's easy to assume Pakistan was always intended as a religious state. It's a common perception. But what's truly eye-opening in Jalal's work is how she unearths Muhammad Ali Jinnah's vision. It's surprisingly secular in part. He famously declared, and I'm quoting here, "You are free. You are free to go to your temples, mosques, any other places of worship. You may belong to any religion or caste or creed that has nothing to do with the business of the state." He wanted people to be equal citizens, politically speaking.
Right. Hindus ceasing to be Hindus, Muslims ceasing to be Muslims in that political sense.
Exactly. How does that square with popular perception and, well, what happened to that vision?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, look at Prime Minister Liaquat Ali Khan's 1949 Objectives Resolution. It later became a preamble to Pakistan's constitutions, and it actually ruled out the idea of an Islamic state as a purely religious theocracy.
Really?
Yeah, it emphasized a sovereign, independent state, power from elected representatives focusing on Islamic principles like democracy, freedom, equality, tolerance, social justice for all, including non-Muslims. But there was also this undertaking to ensure Muslim citizens lived by Islam. So right from the very beginning, you see this inherent ambiguity.
An ambiguity that had real consequences. The human cost of partition, it was just immense. We hear the stories, individual trauma, divided families, lost livelihoods. But Jalal points out it wasn't always framed in purely religious terms on the ground.
No, not always. In rural Punjab, for instance, she highlights that the violence was often over Zar Zameen and Zan, wealth, land, and women. It's where writers like Sadat Hassan Manto become so vital. His short stories, Tobatik Singh, Kuldo, they're heartbreaking. They show how these arbitrary boundaries cause such deep human misery and how violence wasn't always religious zealotry, sometimes baser instincts. Manto tried to find those rare pearls of humanity in the man-made sea of blood, a powerful way to see it.
It is. Even the independence celebrations in Bombay, August 14th, 1947, shouts of Pakistan Zindabad, Hindustan Zindabad, but then you had the dark inverse, cries of Murdabad, death too, providing cover for horrific acts, people being doused with petrol, set alight, sobering.
Brutal realities right from the start.
Deepening divides and military ascent.
So, despite that grand vision, even with its ambiguities, these internal fissures, they appeared quickly. Punjab, being the most powerful province, often seen as dominating the, well, the weak central government.
Right.
And attempts to rein it in, like Governor General Nazimuddin tried in 49, that actually backfired, led to accusations of bias towards immigrants. This points to something larger, doesn't it? This idea of an establishment.
It absolutely does. And this is where Jalal highlights the early emergence of what she defines as the establishment of Pakistan. Think socially conservative, authoritarian, pretty contemptuous of democracy, and fiercely protective of its own vested interests.
Yeah.
This outlook was absolutely key in resisting the implications of East Bengal's, their sheer numerical majority.
And a critical flashpoint, a really major one, was the Urdu-only language policy imposed by the center. For Bengalis in East Pakistan, this wasn't just about language. It was a clear sign of West Pakistani dominance. It culminated in Martyrs' Day, February 21st, 1952, after police fired on student protesters. That really sealed the fate of the East Bengal Muslim League, didn't it?
It pretty much guaranteed its decline, yeah, because it resonated so deeply. It wasn't an isolated incident, you see. Bengalis resented rule by West Pakistani bureaucrats. Sindhis were bitter about losing Karachi. Pathans offended by dismissed governments. Balochis by the force used to annex Kalat.
So each region had its own grievances.
Exactly. These weren't just small administrative issues. They were deep challenges to the very idea of a unified nation. Each province feeling its identity was being suppressed.
And it wasn't just East Pakistan feeling this way. Even in West Pakistan, some Punjabis actually resented Urdu being imposed. They saw it as an alien implant.
Interesting point.
Yeah, and the state's attempts at cultural policing, suppressing literary groups, banning Tagore's works from state media, it only strengthened Bengali defiance. Tagore, ironically, became this powerful symbol of their resistance.
The law of unintended consequences.
Definitely. Now, all this political instability, these simmering provincial grievances, they created an opening, didn't they, for another powerful player?
The military.
The military. Ayub Khan's coup in 1958. That ushered in an era where the army really cemented its alliance with the civil bureaucracy, relied heavily on intelligence agencies too, ISI, MI.
And a key takeaway from Jalal here is Ayub's explicit disregard for the political side of things. He basically told politicians, look, you must make up their mind to go wholeheartedly with the West and the army. It would take no nonsense from the politicians.
Wow. Threatening martial law even then.
Exactly. It was a clear, frankly, chilling signal. The army saw itself as the ultimate guardian of the state, above the elected folks.
And this military dominance, it meant strict curbs on freedom of expression, naturally. The Ayub regime controlled the press, the press advice, the National Press Trust, essentially ending serious intellectual debate.
Yeah, promoting what Jalal calls intellectually deadening self-censorship. Imagine that climate. Open discourse just vanishes.
Frightening.
The watershed of 1971 and its aftermath.
Let's talk about the East-West divide, specifically the economics. The disparities were stark, a real ticking time bomb. East Pakistan had 55% of the population, but received only 35% of development spending.
Right. And their export surplus was actually used to finance West Pakistan's deficits.
So how did the military high command rationalize this? Or did they just intensify it?
Well, this gets to a crucial point about the military's priorities, doesn't it?
Yeah.
They kept Bengali representation among army officers deliberately low, around 5%. They harbored these deep fears about senior Bengali officers influencing national security. Couple that with major industrial houses pulling capital out of East Pakistan. The military's worry about holding the country together intensified. But their solutions often made things worse.
And the 1965 war with India, that just sharpened this dangerous divide, didn't it?
Dramatically. While West Pakistan rallied behind the Kashmir issue, for the East it was a non-issue. They felt abandoned. They deeply resented that military thinking that East Pakistan's defense lay solely in the West. This growing chasm. It set the stage for 1970.
The pivotal 1970 election.
Exactly. And those elections, even delayed by that devastating cyclone in East Pakistan, became the ultimate test. They revealed just how profoundly the military misread the popular mood, especially in the East. They expected a hung parliament, giving General Yahya Khan control.
But that's not what happened.
Not at all. The Awami League secured a decisive victory, and that miscalculation, more than perhaps anything else, led directly to the loss of East Pakistan, the birth of Bangladesh.
A huge turning point. Which brings us to Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. He rises to power on this populist wave, championing that powerful motto, Islam is our faith, democracy is our polity, socialism is our economy, all power to the people. Quite a slogan.
Very effective. And he artfully used Jinnah's legacy to legitimize his government, called himself the Quadi Awam, leader of the people.
But what challenges did he face? immediately. It wasn't smooth sailing, was it?
Not at all. What's insightful here is the immediate struggle Bhutto's government faced with the economy. Businessmen apparently thought the army would have to step back in. And while Bhutto tried to rein in the military,
He even put that clause in the 73 Constitution making intervention illegal.
he did. But the army remained highly critical of his government, his policies. It just shows their enduring influence, even then.
And then, alongside all this, the religious right, they found their moment.
They certainly did, emboldened by Bhutto's own cultivation of an Islamic image for Pakistan internationally. Groups like Jamaat-e-Islami, a prominent Islamist party, gained significant influence, especially with financial backing from Saudi Arabia.
Which leads us to the anti-Ahmadi agitation in 1974.
A dramatic culmination. Ahmadis, a Muslim minority sect, they'd actually supported Bhutto, held key positions, suddenly accused of being British agents, Israeli agents.
Well,
And Saudi Arabia even linked aid to Pakistan, formally declaring Ahmadis a non-Muslim minority. Jalal suggests Bhutto personally had contempt for the agitators, but he conceded their main demand. It just illustrates that growing inescapable pressure of Islamization,
sign of things to come.
the Zia-ul-Haq era and its enduring scars.
Which brings us to General Zia-ul-Haq's 1977 coup, chillingly dubbed Operation Fair Play, a truly dramatic shift.
Massive shift. He immediately declared himself a true soldier of Islam, promised elections.
Only to cancel them indefinitely. Became Pakistan's longest surviving ruler. How did he manage to fuse martial rule with this state-sponsored Islamic ideology so effectively?
That's a crucial question. And Jalal explains he didn't just impose martial law, he strategically fused it with this state-sponsored Islamic ideology, promoting national dress, prayers in government offices, even considering piety in promotion decisions. It was systemic.
And his admiration for Maududi's writings.
Yes, the influential Islamist ideologue. Combine that with what Jalal calls an unmistakable Saudi imprint on his agenda. It signaled a very clear, very deliberate ideological direction.
And the impact on society was swift, often brazen. The Hudud ordinances in 1979.
Infamous. Those controversial Islamic penal laws, they obscured the distinction between adultery and rape, for instance, making both punishable by stoning.
And downtrodden women bore the brunt.
Disproportionately, yes. Minorities were also systematically targeted, stripped of the right to vote in general constituencies even though they hadn't asked for separate electorates. Islamization under Zia became this powerful tool, a means to perpetuate authoritarian rule, appease religio-political parties, and further fragment society.
And his regime also masterfully leveraged Pakistan's geostrategic position, didn't it? Especially after Afghanistan's communist coup in 79.
Absolutely. Zia used American funds, flowing in because of the Cold War context, to recruit civilian militias. He actively encouraged radical clerics in the tribal areas to declare jihad against the Soviets and the Afghan government.
Playing with fire.
Big time. This strategic brinkmanship had severe long-term domestic consequences. It fundamentally shifted power balances in the tribal areas, away from traditional elders towards these newly enriched radical clerics, led directly to arming Sunni militias against Shia groups, destabilizing not just the tribal areas, but the whole country.
And the judiciary?
Crippled. Civil courts often replaced by Islamic or military tribunals. A massive erosion of the rule of law.
The Zia era left some truly poisoned gifts, as Jalal puts it, an alarming rise in drug addiction.
Yeah, with drug money laundered through major banks, ironically bolstering the economy. And Punjab became the main beneficiary of this enhanced state patronage, helping Zia build a political constituency that actually outlasted him.
But despite this iron fist, there was resistance. He even thought about banning the word politics itself.
Incredible, isn't it? But poets like Habib Jalid cried out, famously saying, Islam is not in danger. He argued it was the idle rich, the exploiters, who were the real threat.
So art and culture became a space for dissent.
A vital outlet. Creative writers used political allegories. Visual artists used symbolism to lament their lost freedom. And the state's attempts at cultural policing, banning films and so on. Ironically, it just led audiences to embrace pirated Indian and Western entertainment, even led to popular jokes about the stiff, state-controlled television. People find ways.
They always do?
Democracies return and enduring challenges.
Okay, so after Zia's death, Pakistan saw a return to democracy. But the struggles, they were far from over. The 1988 elections, peaceful enough, but marred by systemic rigging allegations.
Right. And Benazir Bhutto's first tenure, it was plagued by accusations of corruption. That phrase, swindling of millions from the national treasury, really stuck in the popular imagination.
And through all this, the military's influence. It just continued, didn't it? Almost seamlessly.
It's fascinating. Even with an elected government, you had figures like Army Chief General Begg still asserting military oversight, advocating for strategic depth with Iran and Afghanistan against India, still driving foreign policy. And then there's the military's vast economic empire. Milbus, they call it. Military business.
Right, interests in everything from banking to bakeries.
Exactly. It profoundly entrenched their economic power, their patronage networks. It's not just political influence, it's deep economic control too.
Which created this constant deep tension. Elected governments versus the powerful military bureaucratic establishment. Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, who himself came up under Zia, faced his own struggles, battling the president over army chief appointments, trying to curb presidential powers.
It really illustrates the sheer difficulty for civilian governments trying to assert full authority. The system was almost designed against it.
Which leads us to another coup, General Pervez Musharraf in 1999, another period of military rule. He promised reforms, true democracy, but faced challenges quickly.
He did. The Kargil conflict, initiated by Musharraf himself, starkly demonstrated the military's continued strategic vision, separate from civilian input, led to an international crisis, ultimately a tactical withdrawal for Pakistan. But it showed who was really calling the shots on security.
And his attempts at domestic reform, de-weaponization, blasphemy law changes.
Mostly aborted. Fierce resistance from hardliners, his efforts to institutionalize the military's role in politics, the National Security Council, or NSC, met with widespread ridicule. And then the Lal Majid incident in 2007, students taking hostages in the capital, that severely tarnished his international standing, highlighted the alarming growth of extremism that had festered.
You know, what consistently emerges from Jalal's analysis isn't just a cycle. It feels more like a deep-seated structural dilemma. Pakistan's political landscape seems perpetually caught in this tug of war. The military isn't just intervening, it's like a gravitational pull, constantly shaping, challenging democratic aspirations.
It does feel like a fundamental design flaw the nation keeps battling.
So looking at the present, or near present in the book's context, Pakistan's still grappling with immense challenges. Religious extremism, tribal insurgency, urban terrorism, that debilitating energy shortage, Salman Taseer's assassination in 2011, riddled with 26 bullets by his own guard, a graphic symbol of extremism in daily life. Is there any hope of breaking this cycle?
It seems bleak sometimes, but if we connect this to the bigger picture, Jalal points to the May 2013 elections. Despite all the violence, the insecurity, you saw a surprisingly high voter turnout, 55%.
That is high.
It's a strong endorsement of representative government, isn't it? People are clearly eager for the state to deliver something. Their votes show a desire for efficient governance. It's subtle, maybe, but a powerful shift in expectations.
That's a hopeful sign. But can the current political landscape really break from the past? Jalal does highlight some significant shifts, doesn't she?
She does. Unlike previous decades, Pakistan now has a much more assertive, independent-minded judiciary. That's new. And the rise of private television channels, that's revolutionized communications, a huge contrast to the historically state-controlled media.
So, non-elective institutions gaining power.
Precisely. For the first time, these institutions, the judiciary, the media, they have this rare, powerful opportunity to actually side with a vocal civil society against any unconstitutional moves by the army, for instance. And this reflects deeper shifts, too, in the political economy. Commercialization of production, paralleled by the increasing monetization of politics, as Jalal puts it, creates complex conflicts, yes, but also opens entirely new avenues for change. Outro.
So where does this leave us? What does it all mean for Pakistan? The struggle for Pakistan, it's been a turbulent journey, no doubt, marked by these deep-seated contradictions, external threats, internal conflicts, often blurring the lines between the two. The military's historical dominance, the state's use of religion for political ends, they've created persistent, profound challenges to democracy.
Yeah, but if we place this in a broader context, Pakistan isn't going to disappear from the map. Things have shifted. The power dynamics are different now. The military, arguably, needs some combination of political parties to legitimize its arrangements today. There's a tangible new opportunity, perhaps, for negotiating the relationship between the state and the political process, something that hasn't quite existed in the same way before.
So the struggle for the soul of Pakistan, It's far from over. Despite the litany of woes detailed in the book, you, the citizens of this nation, still have a voice, a crucial voice, in determining its future.
Absolutely. Which prompts maybe one final thought to leave people with. In a country where art and literature has historically been such a vital refuge for dissent, how might this burgeoning independent media, this more assertive judiciary, how might they combine with that deep cultural heritage to finally challenge what Jalal calls the mutilation of history, to forge a more transparent, a truly representative national narrative? That's the ongoing struggle.